past 6 years. I'm John Brown, former Steeler co-captain and now vice president and manager of Pittsburgh National Bank's Oakland office. At Pittsburgh National, we believe in performance. That's why we're proud to be a part of the City of Champions. That's why we opened this film called The Team of the Decade, with our tribute to Mr. Art Rooney. In many ways, he is Pittsburgh. He typifies what's so great about this city: courage, determination, pride, and championship. The story of the Steelers in the 70s is a remarkable one. From the league's perennial loser to the team of the decade. And I can't wait to enjoy all those thrills again. Steelers, we salute you.
Belly laughed. Big points eluded their reach as opportunities for victory slipped through hopeful hands. The years took their toll as the Steelers faltered inches away from success. To erase all the strife arrived a teacher and scientist, a head coach named Noel. Chuck Noll transformed the NFL's ugly duckling into a team of grace and might, from punching bag to heavyweight champ. In the 70s, the only pursuer that Pittsburgh did not leave behind was the camera lens. In 1972, film began tracing the Steelers' rise to power. In 1973, Pittsburgh returned to the playoffs for the second consecutive year, and then stunned the football world with a pair of Super Bowl victories in 1974 and 1975. In 1976, they lost 4 of their first 5, then won 9 straight to preserve their playoff streak. After 1977, Pittsburgh became the Kings clad in black. They closed out the 70s with their 3rd and 4th world titles. After 4 world championships in 6 years, owner Art Rooney Sr., the patient parent, has seen his team earn a new, even more impressive title. Art Rooney Sr. and sons Dan and Art were the men behind the Steelers' success. Men who had the foresight to hire Chuck Noll.
If you knew the Steelers before he got here, we had never won anything, and I think we were pretty much of a joke. When Coach Noll got here, he changed everything. It was sort of like Moses leading the people across the Red Sea, and that's what it took, someone with that, that type of talent.
Noll's first stroke of genius was sending a scout to North Texas to find Joe Greene. When the scout returned, he was asked, "Did you see him?" He replied, "Nope, I saw the whole franchise." As running backs got faster and double teams became doubly tough, Mean Joe just got meaner. Greene Greene's defensive play became the standard. He had the ability to single-handedly dominate what is essentially a team game. 10 all-pro years lay ahead.
Here comes Terry Bradshaw now.
Where's that?
Terry. Good luck today, baby.
Okay, Franco.
Watch yourself.
See you later.
Okay.
Noel's first pick a year later was a tobacco-chewing, country-singing, football-flinging quarterback from Louisiana. Bradshaw was thought to be the Messiah. Initially, he proved to be something less. At first, he seemed more of a court jester than a crowned prince, but his crude weapons became more refined. And oh, could that young man throw a football. Bradshaw's arm earned him the nickname the Blonde Bomber. He would throw into buckets in his backyard while in high school. Now he was throwing for touchdowns in front of millions. Even the most hard-bitten Pittsburgher learned to appreciate the skills of number 12. He was capable of shaking off smashed collarbones, countless concussions, and broken wrists to bring victory. In 1972, Bradshaw envisioned a glorious future for his team and himself.
This is the new era of the Steelers. It's not like the old Steelers, believe me. The public, the football world might as well wake up and just take what I'm saying and heed it. And as the games come along, as the year progresses, I hope to continually get better. And in the future, I hope to be the greatest quarterback that's ever stepped foot on this stadium or any other stadium.
To fulfill his dreams, Bradshaw blended his talents with the most unlikely group of heroes since Lee Marvin assembled the Dirty Dozen. There was Hollywood Bags Greenwood and Ernie Fats Holmes, joining forces with a Vietnam vet with a Purple Heart. Only in Pittsburgh. Then there was Jack Splat Lambert, whose mere expression could rattle an opponent. And of course, there was Dwight Mad Dog White, whose antics could cripple a city with laughter. In 1972, these bizarre characters came together, and a team that had once mined vainly for gold now developed the Midas touch. In the past, everything went wrong. Now, everything went right. One play that typified the Steelers' good fortune occurred against Oakland in the 1972 playoffs.
And Bradshaw back and looking again. Bradshaw running out of the pocket, looking for somebody to throw to, fires it downfield. And there's a collision. It's caught out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Harris is going.
While luck is always a pleasant friend, it is defense that slays enemies and wins titles. 2 years later, in 1974, the Steelers were ready to do both as the steel curtain smothered the entire NFL. It was a defense forged by Andy Russell. It was a defense mastered by Jack Ham, the quiet Steeler except on Sundays. It was a defense from which there was simply no escape. Advancing the football against Pittsburgh was like blundering into the jaws of the dragon. Ultimately, you must meet with failure. the Steel Curtain was invincible, and it would carry a team and its followers to heights never before imagined.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. We got a feeling. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl.
1975, Super Bowl IX, Pittsburgh versus Minnesota. After 42 long years of waiting in the wings, the Steelers were at last center stage. Their game plan, run the football. Pittsburgh owned the line of scrimmage. They never trailed. The Steel Curtain allowed Minnesota the fewest yards in Super Bowl history. In their third attempt at a championship, the Vikings failed. In their first, Pittsburgh succeeded. On January 12, 1975, the Steelers became the world champion Steelers, 16-6.
Super Steelers! Super Steelers! Super Steelers!
The bottle of champagne that lay cobweb-covered on the musty shelf for 4 decades suddenly burst open to quench all of western Pennsylvania. From Newcastle to Uniontown, from every surrounding village and hamlet they came to be a part of Steeler football. Players became folk heroes, and one in particular had an entire army of followers.
You want to see the killer for Cleveland today? Right here.
We got the Italian
That's
whammy.
the big red pepper, Italian whammy. We put it on, that means Cleveland can't do nothing. NFL films never seen the red pepper.
That's right, give him the red pepper.
And I tell you, wait a minute, here's the kicker. This you got to see. I know you ain't never seen this in your life. Here's the man right here, inside.
There it is.
Little Italian hunchback. There's the killer.
With championship fans behind their championship team, the Steelers met the Cowboys the following year in Super Bowl X. Pittsburgh would win for 2 reasons. First, the defending champions never allowed Dallas to advance when it really counted. Secondly, the Steelers unveiled an uncharacteristic air attack. Lynn Swann defied both gravity and belief to lead his team to a 21-17 victory. The Steelers were #1 once more. Pittsburgh became a special home for a very special team. A team that would reveal even more character and talent in the second half of the decade. After 2 years of being the best, Pittsburgh found it lonely at the top. They had gained a reputation. The men in black were marked men. Opposing quarterbacks threw straighter and further against the Steelers. Enemy running backs seemed to run like Red Grange. The champions were the yardstick by which teams and individuals measured success. In a career full of great runs, O.J. Simpson remembers best his sweeping journey against Pittsburgh. The Steelers were a target, and Bradshaw was the bullseye. Everyone wanted to KO the champ. Game plans were designed to halt Pittsburgh's running game, and for 2 years, the Steelers could not blaze a path to the Super Bowl. One mark of a champion, however, is flexibility. Noel and the Steelers would find a new way to win. In 1978, Pittsburgh went to the air. With Lynn Swann and John Stallworth, a team that was once ruler of the ground became master of the sky. Bradshaw and his fleet receivers could strike from any distance at any time. Through the forward pass, the rich got richer. Beneath the fancy footwork and feinting jabs, Pittsburgh still had the heavyweight right hand to the heart, Franco Harris. In a sport where heroes come and go, Harris was one man who stood the test of time. Harris is the only back in NFL history to rush for 1,000 yards 6 years in a row. Jim Brown once stated that if he could build an entire team around one man, it would be Franco Harris. Franco was headed for the Hall of Fame, but shunned the countless praises lavished upon him. Instead, he let his running speak on his behalf. Without Franco, the Steelers never made the playoffs. With him, they never missed. In 1978, with the air attack unstoppable and Harris running like a hungry rookie, the Steelers would once again reach dizzying heights. In 1978, the team Pittsburgh and the word power became synonymous. Incredible hulks capable of crushing any foe. Instead of bulging biceps, Noel flexed sound concepts. The Steelers were crammed full of seasoned all-pros, men who had never worn a uniform other than the Steelers, men who had been there, men who would return. They were charged by the power of the people and the mysterious power of the terrible towel when they met Dallas again in Super Bowl XIII. In a closely fought contest, Pittsburgh would prevail.
Terry Bradshaw giving the ball to Franco through the middle, then over the 15 to 10 to 5. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. They opened it up down the middle.
The Steelers were 35-31 winners in perhaps the finest Super Bowl ever played. They had become the first to win 3 championships on a glorious evening in the Orange Bowl. They would be the first to win 4 in sunny Pasadena. Pittsburgh trailed Los Angeles 13-10 at halftime, but they would not hang their heads long as Terry arched a rainbow early in the 3rd quarter. Bradshaw's tight spirals split the night, spelling doom for Los Angeles. The team of the decade stepped forward, awaiting their final touchdown of the 70s, one that would ice Super Bowl XIV.
The Rams bunch it up front. Grossman in motion to the left. Hand off to Harris. Harris slices off the left side for a touchdown.
After 40 years of gloom, Pittsburgh emerged to become perhaps the finest team to ever take the field. They had made the playoffs for 8 straight seasons. They are 4-time world champions. The mighty Pittsburgh Steelers, the state-of-the-art and undeniably the team of the decade.